Okay, in this lesson, lesson 3, we're going to put together the objects that we've learnt in the first two lessons to create a simple spider. Now, often with working with vector graphics, it's often easier to start thinking about objects in their shapes and then group the shapes together. So we're going to look at creating a simple spider by grouping objects, then we're going to look at arranging objects in a layer to get depth, and then ultimately creating a new layer. So let's have a look at Inkscape. So we need to document properties, and we're going to change to A4 again, make it landscape, and we're going to magnify this so we can see what's going on. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a simple spider. So we're going to do that by creating an ellipse shape. Very straightforward. We're going to change the colour of that. We don't want that to be anything other than black. You can make your spider any colour you like, but I'm making mine black. And we want it to be 100% opaque. There's my spider body. Very simple. Now we're going to create a spider eye. Now we know spiders have many eyes, and we're going to make this eye white. So let's, and again, master opacity, click OK, and we're going to create a spider with 1 point, so we can actually see 1 pixel. It's all going horribly wrong here. I'm going to create a spider eye, and we're going to make the spider white. Now, there's my eye. Now what we're going to do with this eye is we're going to fill it with a gradient. This time we're going to use a radial gradient, and we're going to go from white to black. Edit. So we've got to add a colour, so we want to add black on the outside here. Stop, and we want to reduce the offset, and we don't want any. So now we're going to make our gradient larger, and we can move this to get a sense of how big his eyes are. And then we're going to create a pupil for his eye with another circle. So we'll create a, oh no, red eye. Wrong one. Come here. We're going to create a little circle here, and we'll do another gradient fill. Or this time I see what we'll do. We'll put a highlight on that, and we'll do another little one, tiny one like this, and we'll make that white, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move that onto there, and to move things you can use the arrow keys. So that's our spider highlight. Now if you use the arrow button and highlight everything, and you can use object group or Control G, that now becomes one object, and we can move that onto here, and now we've got the makings of an eye. And again, we can group all of that, Control G, into one object, and now we can copy it and scale it, and we can have our spider eye working like this. So we've basically made one eye, and by using the copy function we can actually group it. Now again we can control G. Now we've got all of these the right size we want them to be. We'll need to scale them slightly, I think, for our eye, and we can copy it. And there's a very useful function in Inkscape. You can actually reflect things in the horizontal or on the vertical axis by pressing the H or V key. So if we go horizontal, there we go, this is actually flipped it over in the horizontal axis, and we can now move our eyes onto our spider. And so there we are. There is the eyes to our spider. Now we're going to create some legs, and we use the same option all over again. We're going to use the pen tool this time, and we're going to make one leg, and then we're going to group it. So this is a good function for the pen tool. Make a nice line, and we're going to click, and I'm going to make his legs really spindly and spiky to make that ultimate kind of ticking noise as he goes across the wooden floor. And there's my spider. Now I haven't chosen a fill yet, and I think he should have nice pink legs like that. Now what I want to do now is I want to actually make his legs all nice and hairy. So we can use the pen tool for that, and we can just use a series of little strokes. And I've done this recently with a Year 2 class, so they've managed all this really well. And so those are all my legs, and I want to group those. My hairs, sorry, on my leg. Control G, group those, copy. So now I've got lots of hairs on my legs, and I think I have another one of those. So we've got a really hairy legs going on here, and this time we're going to rotate it, make sure, whoops, make sure it all fits down this leg here, and we'll Control C and Control V that, go all the way down, so we've got this very hairy leg. It doesn't matter where you put things. So now we've got a nice hairy leg, and now we want to group that leg together. So now we've got one leg, and now we want to copy it. So here we go again, we go, and we want to scale it a bit, I think, and move it to there, and then scale it, make it a bit bigger, make that a bit bigger, and then last one, and we can make that the biggest one of all. So here is our spider, and now we want to organise all of those, group those together and scale it down a bit, and so we can actually start putting our spider together. Again, same thing, copy this and then use the H key to reflect it, and now we've got all the bits of our spider organised together. Now obviously our legs need to be at the bottom of our body, so on the same layer we can actually organise things. We can either bring the body to the top, so you go to Object and you've got these options here. We're going to raise that to the top, so there we are. Now we've got our spider with these hairy legs, and we need to move our eyes, but our eyes disappear, so they need to move to the top now. So Object, raise to top, Object, raise to top, and they can now sit on top of our body, and we've got the makings of a spider. Now in the next lesson we'll do the mouth and I'll do some shadows, but for the moment I think that's enough.